Konami Studios. So, Perry Mason Season 1 comes to an end. 8 episodes of pure unadulterated joy. I mean, this show, I had no expectations. I barely knew who the identity of Perry Mason was. Like, I knew it was a show back in the day, and it was a character that people knew and liked. So, rebooting it, I was like, okay, I have no attachment to this. The Downies are working on it. Okay, that's kind of cool. Matthew Reese is in it, a guy I absolutely adore and love. Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll give it a check. And I liked it a lot. I don't think this was the best show to come out this year. But what this did was give us a nice, refreshing look at a television show that I'm really glad we got, because I feel like we just needed that period piece that could grab people and do something creative while still being familiar to stuff we've seen before. We desperately needed that in television in this moment, especially when there's no movies coming out. So we got that from Perry Mason, and I had a lot of fun watching it. It did a lot of interesting stuff and went to a lot of creative directions that I wasn't necessarily expecting. And all that, I think it worked really well. So the crux of this show is we are following Perry Mason as he is a private eye working for this lawyer who is EB. And we are seeing that this child named Charlie Dotson was murdered, and then our entire season is about finding justice to the killer, figuring out who that is, and finding all the angles of the case. So he starts off as a private eye at the beginning of the show and slowly becomes the lawyer we all know him to be throughout the entire season. It's a very interesting story, because what it does is it takes this idea of like your neo-noir film and just your detective story from like the 40s and the 50s, and this is set in the 30s, so it's right up that era of like the black and white noir bogey stuff, and it spins it in a direction you wouldn't be expecting, because it's a very visceral and real in a lot of the stories it tells and the angles it takes. It's dark, it's gritty, it's scary, and it doesn't hold back anything. It goes to a lot of very compelling places that I think works very well for the story. Everything starts to make sense in the end. Every angle they take, every decision they do to get where certain storylines line up, I think it works really well. And every character has some great stuff going on here. Gotta give props to Matthew Reese. I mean, this guy, Americans was fantastic. He deserved to win the Emmy for Americans. This is really good. This is like right up there of Americans for him, because he's allowed to go to all these different places. He's allowed to be angry and pissed off. He's allowed to be depressed and upset. And he's also allowed to be happy and make some jokes. He does all of that in spades here. All of it works really well. It looks very cool, very interesting stuff with him. He's a fantastic actor. I want to see him get more work, and I hope this helps jump up his career to get more stuff, especially in movies, because I want to see this guy have a big leading role somewhere. But this is a great place for him, because he's allowed to just have his like classic pissed off, stern face, just that resting angry face, while figuring out the crime and solving everything around him. Then he slowly becomes the lawyer, and seeing that angle too was very good. When Matthew Reese gets mad and he gets yelling and angry, there's literally nothing like it on television, guys. Like, his energy is so different and interesting and creative. I loved every second of it. He really makes this show work. And a lesser actor, it would definitely fall apart. And that's why I like that we got this guy in here, because he did really good. Only to be, I don't want to say outdone by, but definitely maybe on par with Juliet Rylance as Della Street. She was really like the grounded character of this entire show. She brought everyone together. She was really in control of everything that was going on, every interaction the characters had, every moment, everything about it. She tied everything together in this really beautiful and brilliant way. She was just able to take command of the room when she needed to, be at the forefront of everything she did. That was really cool to see, really important stuff from her. I absolutely adored seeing her in this show, because I'm a big fan of hers. I think she's very talented, great in the nick, and she deserves a lot more. She's another one that deserves a lot more roles like this. So just seeing her as Della, I thought it was really good. I got to give props to John Lithgow. Like, I'm amazed at the career that John Lithgow's had. He's done so much great shows and movies, and he's everywhere at once. He's getting all this recognition, but he still can just do like these little roles in a show like this and still bring a new energy to it. His character's fantastic. The way they played him up was very interesting. He went in angles I wasn't expecting to see, and that really surprised me, so I liked that a lot. And a lot about this show is just, I can't believe we went here. We went in this area too. I am a sucker for your classic Los Angeles in the 30s. I love that era. I love that the show starts and we're following like a big star of Hollywood at the time. I love this era of filmmaking and of cinema and all that. I love it so much. So just seeing that really made me enjoy it, because I love that. I love the noir stuff. I love the detective stuff. I love all that energy and era, and just having all these small characters have bigger moments. That stuff's really cool to see. And you get a lot of that here. The villains are fantastic. They have actual personalities. All the side characters, like the Mortician, he's got a great personality. Perry's friend has a great personality. The air pilot who's trying to take his land has a great personality. Everyone's really creative and unique, and you really get that energy from this show. Everyone's different. And I can't remember her name, but she plays Emily Dotz on the show. She was in Glow. She does really good too. Like that angle could become really annoying with like the mother trying to find rectification for her child's death, but they played it up really nice in an interesting way. Something I will say that I wasn't a big fan of because I didn't understand why it was needed in this show was the whole like church angle with Sister Alice and Tatiana Maslany. Look, she crushed the performance. She did some really great stuff, but overall, I understand what they're going for. I don't want to give any spoilers away because you guys should watch it, but just the angle they went with the church, it went to a lot of places that I believe a church in the 30s that's making a lot of money would do, because churches are not always great, just saying. But I think it was really cool, really great stuff. Tatiana, fantastic actress. Went directions with her I wasn't really expecting, but I'm okay with that too, because sometimes you just got to do something that's different and creative, and I really enjoyed that. So really good stuff there. It's a good show. It's a solid show that goes in directions you're probably not going to be expecting, and that's what I love to see from my television. You know, I think that's very enjoyable, very interesting, and it's that great feeling crime stuff. You know, we're going to the 30s, we're in Los Angeles, everyone's wearing suits and jackets, and they're wearing cool hats, and there's racism. I'm not saying that's a positive, but the way they handle racism in this show, also very compelling. Our character played by Chris Chalk, I think it was Detective Drake. Very good stuff with him too. Very fascinating character. Great person to throw in here. I'm excited to see what happens with all of these characters come the second season, because they did great. They're all very fascinating and unique, and I love seeing what they're capable of and what they're doing. So, Perry Mason, it's definitely worth the watch, especially if you are a fan of the detective stuff from the 30s and 40s like I am. You can have a great time watching it. The score is fantastic. The scenery is fantastic. The costume and the sets design are great. But that score, let me tell you, you're going to love that score if you love that classic blues. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.